I'm just going to do? It's just going to do something. Whoops. Don't remember. Okay. Okay, I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up before I get going. Oh, I know what I was going to do. Hello, Kimberly. Israela, Maryland. Israel. Oh. I gave it a go. You got to give me that. Okay. Was waiting for you. LOL. I was a little bored. Well, that's a lot of pressure. Now I really can't be boring, can I? Yes. Okay. I won't try again. I dare not say that with a 2-year-old and a 5-month-old. You can be bored intellectually with little kids because they don't provide a lot of intellectual stimulation, for sure. I remember that. I don't know which kid it was with, but I was with one of my kids at home all day, and we were sick and we were just talking all day long. Or they were like 1.5 or something, and I remember thinking, I'm starting to find this fascinating. I really needed some adult conversation, but yeah, I was starting to find it almost challenging keeping up. Okay, so I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up. I got enough people. I'll get going now. Anyway, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board, my toddler course, my 3 to 12-year-old course. You can look into coaching one-on-one with me, or you can look into our podcast. My daughter and I do it together. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. That's a lot of BratBusters Parenting Podcast. That's why it's hard to say. I thought, why is that always hard to say? We filmed a podcast today, and my daughter, she edits out a lot because we get really goofy. We get a bit punchy. So, but yeah, she could not say this one word. It was a really simple word, but she just couldn't get it out. It was hilarious. She'll probably edit that out. And it was funny. I thought it was funny. I would have kept that in. But anyway, she might leave it in. Okay, so this is, I'm here to answer your questions. I'm also here to throw some other information at you because a lot of questions are just about discipline. And really, that's not what I'm all about. I'm more about connecting with your kids and being friends with them. And then the discipline is important, but it's a smaller part. What's for dinner tonight, Lisa? Oh, you don't even want to know how I eat. I eat very weird. I'm a gluten-free health food vegan. And I'd be embarrassed to say how I eat. It's just so boring. I hate cooking, but I love food prep. And I don't know if I love it, but I quite enjoy food prep. So usually in my fridge, I got all the veggies and fruits have all been processed already, and they're just waiting for me to gobble up. So yeah, I eat really weird. I didn't when my kids were young. I was still into healthy food, but I was more mainstream. Like I certainly would never put my veganism and gluten-free, all that stuff on my kids. So, but yeah, I was more mainstream back then. Yeah, we're grain-free health nuts too. Yeah, and nobody really knows what's right. I'm not pro-vegan or anything. It's just nobody really knows, but I just do what makes me feel good. There you go. Okay. Here to learn. Well, now I was just talking about my diet, so that's not why you're here. So I'll just throw some stuff out there. I've got all this good information here. I keep forgetting to share, but I wrote a whole bunch of stuff that's just sort of taglines that I think are really important. And one of them is teach your kids to never be proud of their gifts, but be proud of their actions. So in other words, if you're born beautiful or really smart, you can't be proud of that. That's a gift you were given. They need to be proud of how they treat people, their efforts, what they do. It's the effort. It's what they actually do is what you want to teach them to be proud of, not their gifts. So yeah, my daughter is very beautiful, and she has never in her whole life ever led with her looks, ever. She leads with her personality. She's lovely. But yeah, I did say she was pretty, but I never went on about it. And my son was labeled gifted. And I said, well, aren't you lucky that just landed in your lap? So I never praised him for it or anything. But when he was a nice kid, I praised him for being nice. You see, praise them for what they do, not for what they're born, the gifts that they're naturally born with. You can't take any pride in that. Yeah, it was just said that I wrote a whole bunch of really clever stuff down. Now it all looks kind of stupid now, most of it. It's actually not that interesting. Okay, another thing that I have often said is most parents tend to overpraise and underplay. Play is their love language. Praise is not. You say to a 5-year-old boy, "You're very smart. I love you. You can do anything you want. You're just fantastic. You're good looking, and you're great in sports. But I'm going to go do the dishes now." That 5-year-old kid will look at you like this. You say to that same kid, "Hey, what are you doing? Can I play too?" Look at his face. So praise is okay, but it's not their love language. Their love language is time with you, play, fun, laughter. That is their love language. Praise is so overrated. Yeah, Tabitha, thanks for getting me off on that tangent. Whenever I talk about being vegan or whatever, and this can go in line with parenting, follow along with me here for a sec, is I always say I am vegan. It's a personal choice. It's not like I think it's a great way to be. It just works for me. So, but also I did that with my kids too. What I meant was just because I'm doing something and I like it doesn't mean it's the only way to do it. So you don't want to raise little carbon copies of you. You want to raise free thinking individuals. You see, so I never raised my kids to think that my personal habits, like I love cleaning. I always have. I love cleaning. My kids just knew when I was around, they literally would sit with their feet up because they knew any minute a vacuum or a mop was going to be coming under their feet. So they just learned this stuff, but I never put that on them. It's very important to me to have a clean home, but I didn't want to put that on my kids. So yeah, you have to decide what you do want to put on your kids, like manners and, doing your best and treating people well and all that stuff. That was important to me to teach my kids. But the rest of it, you make up your own mind what you do and don't like. I don't want to push my own personal choices on my kids. So think about that. Of course, you're going to expose them to all that, but then let them decide. Like, especially like your music and all that like they might not like your music. They might like, my son used to love heavy metal music. I don't know. I think he likes all sorts of music. He's the one that sort of, gives me ideas for what songs I might like and new bands and all that. And, but he got me into heavy metal music and all that rap and all that stuff. I never would have got into that if I hadn't raised a son who was into it. I opened my mind to what they were doing. I'm kind of like that shiny penny type. I'm very interested in stuff. So something new comes along, I'm like, oh, what's that? So I'm interested. Keep an open mind when you're raising kids. It'll help you through the teen years, by the way. I really like your advice. I'm an ABA with kids, and these tips really help. Why do I always have to look that up? ABA. I don't know what it's short for. Obviously, it's not my thing. Oh, applied behavioral analysis. Yeah, it's that's above my pay scale. But yeah, good for you that you're doing that. That's a very valuable profession. Someone said to me years ago, "You should know all that," and I thought, I don't teach it. Why do I need to know all that? It was something else. It's not ABA. It's another one that's really common. I know a lot more about autism and stuff with autism because when I'm working with families with kids with autism, we have to discuss a lot of the therapy and a lot of the stuff that they're going through outside of parent coaching. But other than that, I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. Son just turned 3 and is pretty defiant. I'm going to do a behavior board, but any tips for him hitting and hurting, specifically his siblings? Just put no hitting or no hurting others, because often they'll go from hitting to kicking or spitting or scratching. So yeah, just say no hurting other people. And then you can put in brackets, that means hitting, kicking, and draw pictures. He's not reading yet, so draw pictures. And just start there. Good luck with that one. It's a tough one. The free behavior board explains how to do that. So you can check that out. It's on my website. The behavior board is everyone 3 and over, including you, the parents, have to be on it. And it has rules and then consequences for everybody. So everyone has 1 rule per week and everyone has consequences. So yeah, check that out. It's free. It's on my website. It's the training wheels with all this. No, it's not okay. We ask our 3-year-old to get, this is Beck Woods. We ask our 3-year-old to get dressed, for example, she will say no. I then proceed to say, okay, I will turn the TV off. Then she will listen. Do you think this is okay? I feel like I'm threatening her all the time. Yeah, we don't do that. I would just say, okay, time to get dressed. And then if she doesn't, then I would walk over, turn the TV off. And then I would just get it. Oh, how old is she? 3. Oh, she's 3. Okay, I was thinking toddler. Okay, so she's 3. Time to get dressed. She's watching TV. There's just so many different ways I could do this. Because you want to put on the, now, is this because you have to get dressed to go out? And why is the TV on if she's not dressed? I would say as soon as you're dressed, you can watch TV. That's the way I would do it. There's no way, if I needed a kid to do something, they wouldn't be watching TV. I would say, sure, you can watch TV as soon as you've done that. So yeah, just think about that. Yeah, and you don't threaten, because if you're threatening, you're trying to get, it's just not the way to go. You're not getting any respect by threatening. If you don't do this, I'll turn that off, or yeah. How should one respond when a 6-year-old child constantly gets into conflicts with their father, who is emotionally immature and more or less responsible for the situation himself? You got to work with him on that. So yeah, you got to get some rules down. You can get the behavior board, put him on it, and put something like, I don't know what he's doing, but maybe put no yelling for him if he does yell. So just get him on that board, make him accountable, and you're on there too. You all got to be on that board. It's really just an accountability chart. I have clients who've taken it to work and used it with their employees. It's kind of tongue in cheek. They kind of have fun with it, but the employees love the fact the boss is on there too. So the boss will often say to the employees, well, what do you want my rule to be? It's amazing what they come up with. What's a good alternative to saying no all the time to a curious 19-month-old without letting him act freely, just wanting to keep him from breaking his neck? Yeah, you might want to use diversion. You know, everyone's trying to stop their kids from doing the bad thing or the dangerous thing, but you got to guide them into what they should be doing instead. By the way, it's a slow burn. It's not going to happen overnight. They learn through repetition. Okay, I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. There it is. I should put that right at the top. I keep scrolling to look for it, and it's the one that I talk about the most. Just a second, putting it at the top. Okay, my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers, and it is the discovery age. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. That might help you. Maybe there's dangerous things that he's doing. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so he's never bored. So instead of getting into trouble, he's got new things to look at all the time because you're rotating all of his toys. And I've got lots of videos on that if you want to look up. Just look up BratBusters, anything you want to know, like tantrums, toy rotation, whatever. Number 3, connect with toddlers in their world, not your world. You don't take a toddler to the nail salon to connect with them. You go to the park and roll down the hill. That's their world. Number 4, discipline toddlers in their world. They're about actions. They're not about words. All these mini therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings and big emotions and bad behavior, it's absolute crap. That's for you. That's not for them. They need consistent corrective actions, not words. Okay? They learn through repetition. Like, you can say to them 20 times not to touch a hot oven. Okay? And it's not one that's going to burn them, but it's going to hurt. Okay. But they still have to go and touch it 10 times. And then the 11th, they might not. They learn through repetition. Okay. So it's not your words, it's their own actions or your actions. I had one more. I forgot one more. The last one is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just forming. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years. In the first year, you were a potato laying on a mattress. They're just brand new. Yeah, I won't go on. I had something else I was going to say. It's a long story. Never mind. I've heard my stories so many times I bore myself to tears, but they're good stories. Like sometimes I'll throw new stuff in, but the old stories are the best ones because I've only picked and chose what sort of is, makes the best point. So it is a lot of repetition on my part, but a lot of you people are new. You haven't heard these stories before. And you know what? If I watch someone in business and I'm looking for advice, they say the exact same things over and over and over again. And I'm still taking notes. I guess because I haven't applied it yet. That's probably why I'm still like, wow, I should do that. I've been writing the same thing for 20 years. Like that David Allen's Getting Things Done, his system on how you get things done. I just watched it again the other day, a video on that. And I'm taking notes again. How many times over the 20 years have I been doing that? So, yeah. So I'm scrolling ahead to make sure you're still here when I answer. Okay, I have a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. How can I handle jealousy when the other is in timeout? Timeout is sitting with me and asking them. Example, what happens if we hit? Well, oh gosh, that's not timeout. That's punishment. That's jail. You're not discussing bad behavior. And I don't do timeout when they're alone, so that you're doing it with you. That's just time with you. Now you're connecting and bringing out the good in them. If you're discussing bad behavior, you're going to get more of it. Where you put your energy, where you put your focus is what grows. You're blaming and shaming. If you're sitting there discussing what they did wrong and why they shouldn't do it, you're going to get more of it. It just doesn't work. I don't want to go on a big rant over that, but it just doesn't work. Yeah. Look at the pool story. The pool story explains that. The pool, if you just Google BratBusters pool story, I've got hundreds of videos on it, or lots of them anyway. So yeah, check that out. It'll explain this. You deal with bad behavior, but you don't discuss it. Okay, I have 11 children, the 11 grandchildren. Oh, I have 11 grandchildren. Oh, sorry, I don't discuss grandparenting. Yeah, no, I don't discuss. Oh, and it's a really long one too. I can't read through all that. Sorry about that. This is just a quick live. And if you do have questions that are longer, you can apply to the podcast. If you go on my website, BratBusters.com, I answer questions here, but they're usually quick ones, right? Quick answers. And I also answer in more detail on the podcast. So you can go on my website, BratBusters.com, and that is where you can put your questions there for the podcast. We may use them, we may not. My daughter does all that. Like I never see any comments or messages. She does that. Okay. How do we start the sharing when my 2-year-old wants the 8-month-old toys? Okay. I said we share. No, I don't understand that. It's not words. You don't teach them how to share. You teach them how not to grab. There's a difference. They don't understand sharing. They don't have empathy yet. They're only 2. They may show signs if you think that they have it, but they don't really develop empathy till they're about 3 years and 9 months. I've been saying that for 50 years. And some big doctor came out and said it recently. It's 3 years and 9 months. It's when because I've just through observation, I figured that out. But yeah, they don't really, and sharing requires empathy or social skills. They don't have a lot of 2. So yeah, it's just not grabbing. That's what you have to focus on. So you teach them not to grab. Every time they do, you say no, and you hand the toy back to the baby. And then you might want to say, well, you go over here. These are your toys. So you just teach them not to grab. Okay, if you have, someone just wrote down he's 9, by the way. I don't know what question you asked. You have to put the question in one comment because I can't scroll back and find it. Okay. This is such a good question. I'm glad you asked. And I'll tell you why I don't talk about it a lot. I've got a very good reason, I think, for not talking about it. You talk about your kids being good kids, but you really don't talk about the behavior of them or like, did they ever talk back to you? No. I was a leader. And I don't talk about it because I don't want people to feel bad. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. But I worked for that. I got a little bit of attitude in the teen years, but never anything big. It was more lack of gratitude or appreciation. Teenagers are more self-centered, right? It's normal. But no, I didn't really get any, like, no, I hate you or anything. I never got anything like that ever. And my son said, he was 15, and he said to me once, he says, I could never even rebel because you're too reasonable and easy to talk to. I was reasonable. I was easy to talk to. So they don't rebel against you. They don't talk back. So yeah. It's not that they were perfect, but there was a lot of respect between us. And so like, it would be like if you've ever looked up to a coach or a teacher or a grandparent, someone that made you feel good, that you really admired and that treated you well, would you ever talk back to that person? No, that's the relationship we had. I don't go on about it a lot because I don't want to make it sound like they were perfect. They were normal human beings, but they were respectful. I got comments. Every year, the principals would handwrite a note to me saying, if every child, and they would say, I'm praising your parenting here. They understood it was my parenting. And they said, if every student was as lovely as yours or as nice as yours, school would be a total joy. I got that every year from every principal that I can remember anyway. It was rare that I didn't get a comment in person or a handwritten note. So I worked for that though. And they had high self-esteem. They weren't obedient soldiers at all. They had high self-esteem. They were proud of themselves. So that's what you do as a leader. But why would I talk about that a lot? I just find that kind of crass almost to go on about it too much. I don't want to make people feel bad, but I earned that. I worked for that. And you can get that too. That's the thing is I wouldn't be teaching this if it wasn't helping people. You can get that too, but you got to put it. See, I was obsessed with figuring kids out. This is what I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11 years old. What a weird kid I was, eh? My mom said you were born mothering everything. I just was always mothering everything. So it was always in my DNA to do this. So, it came easier to me and I figured kids out, but I put in thousands of hours of volunteer work figuring kids out. So yeah, I worked my butt off to figure all this out. And I'm sharing as much as I know how to share with you out there. I want you to enjoy parenting as much as I did. So that's why I don't talk about it a lot. Because I also don't want to set them up as being perfect. They're normal human beings, but they're, if you met them out in public, you'd probably go, gee, they're really nice people. So there we go. I would love to hear more about your podcast about daily things that happen with your kids. You talk about what you didn't allow, but what you did you allow with your kids? Well, they never had any curfew for one thing, ever. I don't believe in curfews. I think it's micromanaging and disrespectful. If they were going to go out somewhere, I'd say, oh, what time do you think you're going to want me to pick you up? Well, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be having fun or not. And I'd say, okay. So we would sort of agree, like, every 90 minutes, they had to text me or phone me, pardon me, not text. Because someone else could grab their phone and text, right? So they had to phone me. And this is how the conversation went every 90 minutes. If they forgot to call me, I'd call them. So they'd call me up and they'd just go, yeah, I'm fine. And that was it. So I just wanted to make sure they're still alive. I always knew where they were. If they were going to move locations, they told me. So there was just respect. And then I'd pick them up. But if I wasn't feeling well, I'd say, look, I'm not feeling well. I'm going to come get you in an hour. And they go, okay. It was mutual respect. We negotiated every time they went out. I didn't have them do a lot of chores. I did expect them to clean up after themselves, though. Their laundry went in the hamper. I didn't expect them to keep a clean room. This is all teenage stuff, okay? So, but yeah. Yeah, we laughed a lot. It was just a lot of fun. I'll tell you something really cute. And I was kind of surprised when my mom told me this. We were visiting from Australia. We lived in Australia. My kids would have been 9 and 14. And we were just visiting my mother here in Canada before we moved back again. Anyway, and because my kids were born and raised in Australia. So we were visiting and my mom was elderly. She was in her 80s and she was out back in her garden. Well, a whole bunch of yards backed onto each other. And her neighbors came out when she was gardening one night and they said, Lillian, what's going on at your house? Are you having like parties every night? And she said, what? And they said, all the yelling and laughter. And it sounds like a party going on every single night. It was me and my kids. We were just goofing around, laughing all the time. So yeah, I wallowed in my kids. I loved it. They were fun. They were just fun to be with. I got all that pesky respect and discipline settled when they were tiny. And then they were just my friends. We just laughed. I was still mom though, for sure. My number one role was always mom. But I rarely ever had to pull the mom card. So yeah, we just had fun. But I thought that was hilarious. Mom couldn't figure out what they were talking about, but it was just me and my two kids yelling and laughing and just having a blast. Our neighbors commented on that too back in Australia. So there you go. That's enough of that. I don't want to come across like, I'm just going to say it was not, I worked for that though. I earned that. And you can do that too. Okay. It's not just that. It's not something that only I could do. It's something that I can pass on. I got a whole bunch of clients who are doing very well as a result of working with me or doing a course. I hear from them all the time that things are going so much better and they're actually enjoying their children. But you got to put in the work. I remember someone also said to me, they said, I can't remember how they worded it. It was kind of unusual. They said, I didn't even know that parenting could be fun. Like they were so confused when they saw me and my kids, and they said, but they're not like, we got along, like we were respectful too. It wasn't just goofing around. It was respect. And she said, I didn't even know that you're allowed to have fun with your kids or something. The way they worded it was, and I said, oh no, we're something about being friends with your kids, because my kids and I were friends. And, you know, we just laughed a lot. But I remember thinking, gee, how sad that you didn't even know that you could be friends with your kids and enjoy them, that you're supposed to be serious. They said they thought you're supposed to be serious and know it all and passing on your wisdom and all that. And I said, I ain't got a lot of wisdom, so, but I do know how to have fun. So yeah, that struck me as I thought it was kind of sad that they thought, well, you can't have fun with your kids. They were criticizing me because they said, well, you're supposed to be serious with your kids. And I thought, okay. And that was not a parent who had kids that were respectful at all. So there you go. Wasn't working. Okay. Oh, actually, sorry. I got to move over to Instagram now if you want to join me over there. If not, check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board, my toddler course, my 3 to 12-year-old course. You can look into coaching or the podcast. The podcast is called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. And if you want to watch my daughter and I doing it, you can see that on YouTube. We save it on there also. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'm staying on YouTube the whole time. It's where I save all of my lives. And now I'm hopping over to Instagram. Happy parenting. Yeah, I went off on a tangent there, didn't I? I'm very uncomfortable discussing how I parented. I don't know why. Okay. Okay, I'm enjoying my children so much, and it's hard right now, 2 and 5, but thank God for you. Oh, that's sweet, Tabitha. Yeah, kids, if you're not enjoying it, you're missing out. You want to learn how to enjoy your kids. I can teach you this. Get all that pesky discipline sorted out, and then you can just relax and enjoy them. It's always my goal. My goal is not that you have nice kids. That's just a byproduct. My goal is always that you enjoy your family. I want you to have fun with your kids. That's always my number one goal. Okay, so I'm going to introduce myself. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you check out my website, it's BratBusters.com. And you can see my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and look into my podcast. My daughter and I do it together. It's not mine, it's my daughter and I. We do it together. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. She asks the questions and I do my best to answer them. We get a lot of giggle attacks. We edit a lot of that out, but we had a good one today. I think she edits that stuff out. I think it's funny, but whatever. She doesn't like to look silly, where that's my whole personality. Okay, so let's get going with your questions. I'll do my best to answer them. I tend to go on rants too and ramble on, but it's just what I do. This was cute. This was just something. Sometimes I write down stuff that clients have told me, and I always get permission to tell these stories and never use names, of course. This one kid, he was 7 years old, and he just had a 24-hour media blackout. So no screens for 24 hours because he broke a rule, then wouldn't do the first consequence. Anyway, so the mom told me, she goes, he's 7 years old, and after the media blackout ended, he went back on his gaming console or whatever, and he said very casually and very adult sounding, he said, well, I'm not going to make that mistake again. I thought that was so cute. Oh, my God. Oh, another one was a 9-year-old. Yeah, when his parents said, we hired a parenting coach, he said, good, because you need it. I love kids. Oh, God. Okay. What are consequences for 4-year-olds? I label out consequences in the behavior board, which is free on my website, BratBusters.com. But consequences, don't get caught up in what they are. Kids always have 2 of them. You start with a positive action, which is usually just a chore. Get them to sweep one room. The chore should be quick, but give them 10 or 15 minutes to do it, because you give them time to argue and procrastinate, and you don't say a word. You're just a timekeeper. Do not get into an argument. I'm not going to do it. I hate you. I hate you. You're just like, oh, okay, whatever. And you're just looking at the timer, okay? It gives you time to exercise your calm leadership too. If they won't do that first consequence, the chore, then you take something away. That's called a negative deprivation. Okay. It's usually 24-hour media blackout, but a lot of my clients don't even have screens. And I've got a lot of my clients are Jewish, and they have certain times when they can't use any technology at all. So we have to get very creative, and we come up with stuff. Okay, I've tried ignoring my 2-year-old screaming fits, so tantrums. It hasn't worked as he still responds so loudly to us saying no. That's okay. He'll keep doing that for a while. It peters out after a while. But they usually get worse before they get better because they remember you responding before. So they'll usually try and get the old you back. So when you introduce this new calmness, they usually do get worse. So it just takes time. So I don't know how long it's been going. 3 to 6 weeks usually. You should notice a difference. My 3-year-old doesn't listen even when I put consequences. Yeah, just check out the behavior board. If that's not working, it's just the start of all this. You might want to look into the course. The boot camp course for 3 to 12-year-olds goes into a lot more detail, and it's a 5-week program. It's like for you 5 weeks of how you do this. You can lengthen it out, stretch it out by a week or two, but you can't speed it up. It won't work. It's all paced out. I've been doing this for 20 years, teaching this for 20 years now. It's all paced out according to get the best results. When do the tantrums end generally? Asking for a friend. Okay, you want to tell your friend that usually